After more than a decade, a vacant piece of property is being transformed. In episode 217 of the Love in Lebanon podcast, we chat with Pam Verbarg from the ARC of Greater Boone County. The ARC received a grant to add this amenity for all just off the Big Four Trail along West Main Street. Development details and a completion timeline are included in this episode, and it starts right now.
Welcome to the Love in Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to loveinlebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 217 of the Love in Lebanon podcast. Joe LePage here, the City of Lebanon Communications and Community Development Director. Before we hit record, truth be told everybody, we were kind of chatting, Pam and I were chatting about the last time you were with us, Pam, was right when you started at the ARC as the Executive Director, and now you're back again, and it's been a couple of years, as you joked.
It's been seven. Yes. So it's hard to believe it's been that long already.
You were due to be back on the podcast for one reason or another, right?
Probably, yes.
I think the first time around, I had trouble pronouncing your name, which everybody is one of my things that I deal with. And I almost got you to sing when none of those things we talked about this time. But some great news headed everyone's way. And this is something that the ARC of Greater Boone County is spearheading and has kind of been talking about for a number of years, 7+. There's this grassy area right along the Big Four Trail now, near, I think is it Monarch that's right there, the tiger statue that's nearby. You guys?
Yes, the Monarch statue is there, and it kind of borders that garage that sits right behind Titus Bakery, too.
Okay, so everyone, you're going to see on the graphic, and I'll reference the graphic a number of times because some of the things we're talking about, trying to get a mental picture on that, I want to show you like a real picture, and also there's kind of like the imaging that we're working with at the moment. So I buried the lead a little bit. There will be a sensory garden at that parcel of land that you're talking about, right along the Big Four Trail, in between the ARC of Greater Boone County and Titus. Going to be a beautiful addition to our community, and the excitement level is off the charts because this has sat vacant, and people have been hoping about something happening here for a long time, decade.
Yes, it's been at least 10 years since discussions started about doing some kind of a sensory garden at this location. And since I've been here even, we've had the Big Four Trail extend along there and adding some beautification to that empty lot, which has been sitting open. I think somebody looked at maps and saw pictures of a house that was there about 2002. So it's been over 20 years since this lot has sat vacant. So it'll be just nice to have something pretty and that the community can enjoy as they're walking along the trail.
Yeah, I remember past conversations. It was a small pocket park for the city purposes, perhaps, and they kind of walked through and what that would look like to be able to add some things there. And the expense just was higher and higher and higher as the years went by. But thankfully, a grant is in place to actually do something with this, and there's some tangible traction and some things are happening.
Absolutely. What had happened is we were able to get a 180 in color grant that the Boone EDC helped us obtain. And that grant, it paid for 50% of the garden, and then we were able to fundraise the other 50% in match to be able to fund it this year. So we're really excited about moving forward and getting it in place.
And everybody, you're going to see a picture of, and I have put example of a sensory garden, but just if you don't mind breaking it down, a sensory garden, the definition that you've been given as we've gone through this process, Pam.
So really what we're looking for, Joe, is a garden that appeals to all the senses. So smell, taste, touch, sight, and hearing as well, so that the garden will be built that will have features that include all of that. So that will include some potentially fruits or vegetables, so some edible plants in there, things that smell wonderful, things that provide the visual beauty, lots of color and splash and the ability to experience, butterflies and draw more nature into the park as well as elements that involve hearing, whether that's the artists who are working on it. We're bringing some samples in of these fabulous seed pods, and I can't remember the name of the plants.
I can't either, but you'll see a picture of them on the
Yes.
graph. It
Yeah,
was so
but once
cool.
they dry, they shake just like a rattle, and create that extra sound. So it's really kind of getting that ability to immerse yourself in all of the senses in one garden and one place that offers all of those opportunities.
Yeah, and the layout is wonderful because no matter where you would like to access this kind of pocket park area, this sensory garden, you'll be able to walk in from any direction, right off the trail or other, and be able to kind of see. It's kind of a spiral space, and it comes to a central gathering zone, is what they call it. Kind of a sun tea station. They've called it on our little graphic we're throwing together. But yeah, you mentioned the pods and things like that, being able to kind of make noise, to have things with a certain texture, and just a kind of cool spot to, if you're heading from Lebanon to Thorntown on the trail, you can stop and kind of stretch the legs in a different way a little bit and kind of take a break, take a beat. But even if you're a Lebanon resident, being able to stop and see these things, this is a great field trip destination for your family looking for stuff to do. And I'm guessing it's going to work wonders and serve the folks at the Ark quite well as well.
Absolutely. We envision it. One, it's going to be accessible so everybody can get to it, and it will include some raised beds so that individuals that we support can not only enjoy the garden, but participate in the care of the garden. So it'll be something that someone who's interested in gardening can spend time in there and do some volunteer work making it happen. But it's also going to be a place where folks can hang out, and we'll have picnic tables and some benches out there as well for people to enjoy. So not just our typical clients, but obviously we have lots of families who come every day to our location as well to visit the WIC office. So families can come over there while they're waiting for their appointments rather than just sitting in their cars or the waiting room as well as they're doing that. So we're really looking forward just to having a place where people can truly relax, kick up their feet, and get away from the busyness of the day for a few minutes.
Yeah, the WIC office, that was an element I didn't even think of. Yeah, that kind of works as a babysitter or a time killer or something where you've got a kiddo. Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. Everybody, we're talking about a new sensory garden going to be built right across from the Ark and in between Titus Bakery and the Ark of Greater Boone County. We've got the executive director of the Ark of Greater Boone County, Pam Verbarg, joining us here on episode 217 of the Love and Lebanon podcast. And I got to be honest, Pam, the coolest part for me was talked about the artists and those creatives that are helping to draw out this space and lay it out well. They really honed in on the desires of the folks that call the Ark home, and being able to work with them on the textures and the sounds and those things that were appealing to those Ark residents and clients, and being able to have them understand and know that they're going to be stewards of that park. And you kind of mentioned that before, but that's going to be such a neat process to have their voices heard, have that shared, and having people lay it out tangibly right here on what we see.
Absolutely. And I would say that was probably one of the coolest things that's happened in this whole process is that as we got to know the artists who were selected to do this, one of them has worked with Art Mix in Indianapolis for many years, meaning that she has worked with a program that directly supports folks with disabilities for many, many years. So there was a great understanding of what we do every day with the group that is working on this. But as part of their planning process, before they even developed their schematics and plans, they spent an afternoon at our location with a number of our self-advocates and worked them through some experiential activities to hear from them what resonated. So, and again, they pulled in all the senses. So they pulled in visually, what colors appeal to you, scent-wise, what smells, what sounds. We're thinking about this. How do you feel about those things? And they asked all of those questions, which for many people with disabilities, they're not always asked that. Yeah. So it was truly an empowering session. And you could see people get really excited about the idea of the garden and what they're planning to do in the garden to do that. They've also committed to working with our artisan program to make sure that some of the artistic elements that are built into that involve the work of some of the artists that we support as well. So again, just a really inspiring experience that will pull both people with and without disabilities together to make this whole thing happen.
And it got even down into the macro level of, there were pages that laid out kind of the elevation kind of levels of this parcel, and they were given colored pencils or crayons, things like that, pens and all that to be able to kind of, how do you want it to flow? And seeing all the ARC folks kind of collaborating with the artists and with each other to be able to kind of lay it out. And to be honest, it's surprising and just inspiring to me that looking at it, it's pretty close to what some of the ARC artisans laid out there, and some of those residents put on paper tangibly. They're right there.
Absolutely. And that is, again, part of what is so inspiring about it, is seeing how that feedback was pulled into the plans so that everybody knows that they were involved and their ideas were incorporated into it. So, somebody could come out and say, hey, that was my idea once it comes into fruition.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody, we're talking with Pam Verbarg. She is the executive director of the ARC of Greater Boone County, here on episode 217 of the Love in Lebanon podcast, talking about a new sensory garden. You haven't seen any ground broken yet, but you're going to see more details about it, and you will see that ground broken between Titus and the ARC of Greater Boone County. And the whole model of ARC artisans and different folks, different staff that the ARC employs, facilitating a program and things. This isn't new to what you guys do. We talked before we hit record, everybody. There's a mobile vending machine that a number of artisans will come through and stock. And you also have a business as well, the partnership with Walmart, I believe, Walmart?
Yes, so we own a small social enterprise called Mr. Canary Company, and the individuals we support work for that organization and make bird feeders that are sold all over the country for that.
And so being able to help kind of keep the blueprint the same, and being able to help put them to work, and being able to help them really see the fruits of their labor and benefit from the whole process.
Absolutely.
And want to be able to share with everybody too that this is for all capabilities, everyone, that this isn't a park that will close, that this is no admission necessary, that this is open for everyone right off the trail, and certainly welcoming to people of all walks of life.
Absolutely. And even when the vision of this sensory garden first opened up, it was truly to be of benefit for the community. So we really wanted it to be something that our board and all of our stakeholders see as a way to, one, give back, but also help connect people all throughout the community as well.
Mm-hmm. And I got to get back to just the overall excitement. Did you ever think that this was actually going to happen as we sit and we're sitting in the process, or hearing about the 180 in color grant and all those things? You kind of pinching yourself a little bit because it's been talked about so many times.
Oh, yes. Because I think we actually did talk about this on the first podcast.
I think you're right.
Because I was presented my first 2 weeks with the original plans for the sensory garden. And every so often, one of our board members would bring it up. Hey, Pam, where are we at on the sensory garden? And we had done...
Square one.
Yes.
Conceptual.
Yeah.
R&D.
We're conceptual. Here's about what it's going to cost, and we never got past the fundraising piece of it. So when this opportunity with the 180 grant was brought to us from the EDC, or the 180 in color grant, we really said, why not? Let's see what happens. And it ended up being something that resonated with the grants committee, obviously, so it is truly happening now. So it is exciting.
And don't want to hold fast to a timeline, a specific timeline, because it's construction, and we all know things can happen, of course. The goal and the desired completion date, and that it's certainly sooner than 11, 12 years, like we've been talking about, but it's just going to happen fairly soon.
This summer. So the completion date right now is September 30th. So I know the design team is working with some final arrangements to start any site preparations that need to be happening. And then soon after that, we'll have folks starting to plant. So it's going to be happening sooner rather than later.
And we mentioned earlier, it is open for everyone. I can't even put it into words, just the perceived, just overall, just excitement level of the folks at the ARC, just being able to see this happen and being able to then enjoy it for many years to come.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. And I will just share, one of the things that came out of this is there's a need for like benches and things like that. And our folks that we support have a group called the Action Club, and they meet on a regular basis. They meet monthly.
They have a board and all that, don't they? Presidents and things?
The board president of the Action Club is part of Self Advocates. They also serve on our board of directors, and they decided that they needed to help contribute to that as well. So they are collecting bottle caps now to get to another bench so that we can have additional benches at the park as well. So they're working with the Boone Regional Waste District to make that happen. So it's fun to see.
So just adding on to that addition to our community. Fantastic. Yes. So again, everybody, ground about to be broken, taking place and planting set to happen this summer. September 30th is when we're looking to cut a ribbon or invite everyone out to kind of take a look for themselves. Stay tuned for this process and being able to have it tracked by not only the folks at the ARC, but for the city as well, and I'm sure the EDC who's helping to facilitate this grant process. Pam, I'm so excited. I can't wait for this to happen, and having to look at what we're hoping will be kind of a phase 2, possibly with the garage that's there currently being stored and not part of this plan, but could be part of future ones, future additions, perhaps.
Absolutely. So Joe mentioned the garage, and that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that I said it's kind of ugly. From what I was going to say before we hit record. It's pretty ugly right now. It's a garage that has some older siding on it that is going to need replaced at some point sooner rather than later. But part of the phase 2 plan is to tackle that garage and potentially have a cool mural or something on there again depicting sensory art so that we can put that to work and beautify it a little bit more too. So they're starting with a smaller footprint there, but there's clearly some additional land on that piece of property too that we can expand into as we move forward too.
And you guys have, if you're just kind of in that area, everybody, from the bicentennial, you guys had, I think it's Blackstone was the name of the bison that's there near the WIC office. You guys have the tiger statue that's there, Monarch, the great things that you guys do there, the beautiful mural on the side of Titus's building, and then now the sensory garden. What a great kind of cluster of wonderful creativity within our community, right along Main Street, right along the Big Four as well.
Absolutely. Yep, and the bison being repainted is one of the goals this year as well, to update that a little bit and get it so that it's ready to go for years to come as well.
So fantastic. There you go, everybody. There's yet another piece of incentive to have you head out to that part of town and being able to be part of the community. I remember when Blackstone thing was on Indianapolis Avenue and has kind of matriculated over to the campus of...
Yep.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, Pam, thanks so much for being here on the podcast. Thanks for the enlightening nature of this chat, being able to kind of shed some light on this parcel, and we're looking forward to seeing some things happen there.
We are too. Thanks so much for having me today, Joe.
And everybody, there are some drone pictures as well, kind of giving you a frame of reference of some of the things we're talking about. I mentioned, and probably beat a dead horse here, but the kind of example of what a sensory garden is, where things stand with how it's laid out, all there on the graphics, as well as some of the things we're talking about, the noise making and the textured kind of plants and things that will be added to that sensory garden are on the graphic at this podcast as well. So for Pam and for me, of course, thanks everybody for listening to this podcast. More episodes coming your way soon. Take care.